But let's dive into propose to close. I love this course. This for me was my heart on a platter, and it took way longer to release because I was nervous about all of the things I wanted to teach you, because it was pretty much the opposite of what a lot of us had been taught. Most of us had been taught when we first joined a travel agency or a host. And ultimately it comes down to saying no a fucking lot. And a lot of you, when you're new, don't want to say no to anything. You want to do everything. You want to have all the deals and find all the unfindable finds. And frankly, it's bullshit. That mentality is bullshit. How we were taught is bullshit. And I wanted to bring that to you, but I was terrified. I was terrified of criticism. I was terrified of it failing flat on its face. I was terrified that it was too expensive. I'm just sharing that with you because imposter syndrome is real, and it comes in the sales space. What you do and how you do it unique to you is terrifying because it's different than someone else. And it's also what changes us when we try something new and bring our authentic self to the sales arena. It is a game changer to have shared this with you. And every single day in the Propose to Close group, it's like, I sold something in an hour. Oh my gosh, they booked in 3 days. Like, the whole point of Propose to Close is to take you from that consultation period, finding out when they're actually ready to book, and then not doing any work until they're ready, and then closing them in just a few days, sometimes a few hours. And I have multiple testimonials I could read to you, but I also have 3 wonderful ladies who are willing to share about their experience today. So I encourage you, if you have been thinking about Propose to Close, just listen, be willing to ask questions about it. There's no stupid questions. It's a terrifying course. This is also the most girthy course with the most work to be done if you are struggling in sales, or if you are great at sales, but you want to work less. Okay, so people who are $1 million agents are taking this course, working less and maintaining their million. That is the goal. Is whatever your goal is, this course will get you there. We have never been trained in sales. Like, we are taught products, and we are taught CRMs, and we are taught how this agency does something, or that agency might do something, or they only sell this product, or we only sell that product. Y'all, that is not teaching sales. Teaching sales is breaking down a workflow process step by step to close a deal. And sometimes you might sell something and be like, I don't even know how I did that. But I promise if you look closer at it, you will find the different things that you did that worked and the things that are not working. So it's important to know what's not working. So, and I don't mean one time. So you could use Propose to Close one time, it doesn't work. You're like, it didn't work. It's not going to work. If you practice a process that we know is working, you will have more success. So you've learned all the things, you've taken all the trainings in your back office, you go on all the webinars about all the different sandals and beaches and Disney and all the things, and you're like, but now what? This is the course for you. You probably even know how to create like different things for your preferred vendor, but do you know how to sell your preferred vendors? You're not sure what to say. You don't, oh my God, you guys, you do not want to be salesy. You do not want to be pushy. I understand. If you are on this call, did someone tie you to a stake and bring you in? No, you're here because you want to learn more. And I'm currently selling. Okay, I'm teaching you, I'm educating you, and those things are what sell our clients as well. I know you don't want to bother anyone, but you got to follow up, and probably more than twice, and probably not a week from now. Are you tired of hearing that travel sells itself? Because that is truly bullshit. Of course, travel sells itself. You can go online and click a button and book a hotel, but do you sell yourself? How are you presenting yourself in the world as a travel advisor? Are you in the travel advisor closet? Because if you are, and you have not told anyone, or you are not actively telling everyone, You're in the closet, you got to come out. Are you disappointed, angry, burnt out from prospects taking your knowledge and booking on their own? This course will help that in so many ways. It helps with the tire kickers, it helps with the ghosts, and it helps with the stealers of all the knowledge. I want you guys to embrace a service-based mindset as you head into your sales course. The Propose to Close sales course is self-paced study guide. It actually has 9 modules. It is over 10 hours long, and I want you to take your time with it. And I know right now you're going, I don't have 10 hours. I don't have it. But you're here and you're scrolling and you're doing all the things, so you do have time. It's whether or not you budget the time for this course. I want to teach you how to get rid of a brain picker in less than 30 seconds. I want you to learn how to get rid of those, oh my gosh, are you still doing that travel agent thing? I want to get rid of these people for you, or at least have more fun getting rid of them with you. This course is for the agent who is ready to learn a bullshit-free approach to sales and stop listening to how it's always been done. You'll learn how to build relationships, work less, become a master qualifier, not just a regular, oh, I ask a few questions and they didn't like their resort kind of qualifier. Send 1 proposal versus 5 to 7, and close your deals in under a week. Whether you're a brand new travel advisor who needs a smooth sales process from the beginning, or a veteran TA with horrible habits, because we all have had them because that's how we were taught, spinning yourself into exhaustion and burnout, this course will change your business. But here's what I hear every day, and here's why I keep pushing this course and why I love this course. It is changing lives in this business. Life, not business, life. They have more time for family. They're not in arguments with their husband and kids all the time. They're not feeling as much guilt around, what do I want to spend my time doing today? It is the best course in our market right now. Like, there's nothing else like it. Module 1 is prologue and profanity. I actually tell my full sales story. I cry. You'll love it. I promise. I almost didn't do it. I actually deleted everything, and like Miranda made me bring it back. I was like, I can't tell this story. I can't tell them about my ADHD. I can't tell them how hard it was, because then they're not going to want to do it. But she's like, this is what makes it. This is how we got here, Marcie. We have to tell them how you got here. So they convinced me to tell us some stories, and I tell a lot of stories throughout this course because it is so deeply personal. Calendar clarity. This is huge. Having calendar control is the reason most of us are spinning. Or a lack of calendar control is the reason most of us are spinning. You've got this over here. You're probably multitasking right now. You're probably on your email, looking at your Facebook. You're probably stressing that you're not, spending too much time on this and you're not learning anything yet. Or your phone is blowing up and your email is blowing up at the same time. How do I manage this? You manage it with time blocks and calendar, but also boundaries. So there's a lot of boundary talk in this conversation, even though it's not here in an actual module. There is a ton of coaching on boundaries in this entire course. Module 3 is ditching the intake form, which this was one of those scary modules I wrote because I know most people say you need to have an intake form. You need to make sure they fill out all these questions and you know what they want. Well, I can tell you 150%, and I'm really hoping we cover this when the girls talk, is the intake form is bullshit. It is never going to tell you the truth. It's never going to tell you what they really want. And unless you are willing to have a consultation call, you're going to fall flat on your face, especially if you try to use this course with the intake form. Do not, just get rid of it. Honestly, don't give them anything. They don't want homework, and we're not a doctor's office, so we don't need an intake form, I promise. Module 4 is how to actually be excited no matter what the dumbasses say in the text. Okay? We know that they're going to say dumb shit. They don't know. So we always just need to be excited. We always need to say, oh my gosh, that sounds awesome. That's what this entire module is about. It is the weed out the tire kicker module So even though it says excited energy, we are excitedly kicking them out of our text messages and our DMs and our, we're not answering the phone every time someone calls. We are doing consultations in person. There is a blueprint. I include all the templates and all the emails that I ever use, all the texts I've ever written. They're in this module. And it's how to be intuitive and listen for sales cues, as well as I have 5 qualifying guides that are included with every question under the sun to get down to the nitty gritty, to get to module 6, getting hired. We are not just getting off the phone and sending those quotes. Oh no, there's a step here where we actually are hired. Even if you do not charge a fee, you can utilize this course. I didn't charge a fee until 2020, y'all. I didn't. But I used this strategy and I closed all my deals that I wanted to close. And that's the key. I wanted to close them. I didn't just accept every lead and start working, and no more quoting in the DMs, y'all. Those days are over. You will get hired through module 6 and by utilizing text. And if you don't want to utilize text and you're like, hard pass, never going to do it, don't take this course. Please don't, because you're going to be so pissed when you get to the section that says you have to text after every single email you send. Module 7 is crafting the ultimate first and best proposal. I'm obsessed with first and best. And if I ever have to send more than one, I get a little like, what did I do wrong in the first one? But honestly, first and best just simply means I'm going to send you 150% of everything you said you wanted, and maybe a touch more to make it that custom, make it that beautiful. And then if we have to talk about more, we will. But we're not sending 3 quotes at once ever again in the same document or in the same Travefy link or any of that shit. And we're going to make it pretty because we're only doing 1, maybe 2, maybe 2. It depends. But either way, we are going to send that first and best. Module 8 is from interested to in flight, which basically means we're getting closed. And how are we getting closed after that first and best, and how fast? I teach you here. There is a bonus module not listed here on mindset and goal setting. And it is the bomb because Miranda wrote it. And she is the queen of all things, like all the things. So you will love that. And actually, I almost feel like we should have put it at the beginning. So if you want to start with module 9, it's a standalone module. Go for it. For those of you who own it, who have not started it, and there's about 50% of you that haven't, please go start with module 9. You might then be inspired to finish the course. Do me a favor and start the course. So you get 8 step-by-step self-paced modules with the bonus module, a printable workbook for notes, thought-provoking questions, aligned client questionnaire, which is in fact free on my website and available now, customized commission calculator that my very dear husband created for us because he is a nerd alert, but it makes everything black and white so that you can figure out how much money you're going to make based on your own sales goals and the current sales you currently have, which is awesome. So you will learn expected commissions and based on averages. Qualifying questionnaire guides for icebreakers and customized for Disney, all-inclusive, FIT Europe, Hawaii, and cruises. 12-month goal setting business plan, manifestation and mindset tips, which is module 9, exclusive propose to close Facebook group for that ongoing support. You are not abandoned. I am here for you. I spend a lot of time in that group, and happy hours. All right, who are my testimonials? Farron, Wendy, and I think Natasha, but I don't know if she came. So I don't know if she's here. So Farron, why don't you get in here and tell us a little bit more about who you are, what your niche is, how long, and answer those emailed questions or text questions I sent over to you. Were you worried about the course? What has your experience been? Like, what was your biggest thing to overcome too? And how do you feel now?
Yeah. As far as was I worried about the course? Yes, because I worry about everything. Just because of who I am as a person. But before I jump into that, I'm Farron. I live in San Antonio, Texas. I've been a travel advisor since 2018. So almost 6 years. Um, but I started out part-time while I was teaching middle school theater, and I left the classroom in August of 2020 and went through some like trial and error jobs trying to figure out what my next professional step was, and finally just was like, screw it. I hate all of this. I know what I want to do. And so if I don't do it now, I'm never going to. So I've been very blessed that I was able to kind of take that leap and do this full time. My niche is Disney and Universal Studios because that's what I love doing the most. I'm too fair-skinned to be a beach person, so I leave that to the experts. But yeah, I'm a Disney focused specialist most of the time, but I do also have fairly extensive knowledge in like New York and DC and like the LA area in general. Um, my initial hesitation buying into the course was honestly cost, because again, of who I am as a person. I am a giant dumpster fire when it comes to anything having to do with math, or I just don't have that brain function of like, if I spend X now, then this is, whatever, however that all carries over. Um, but I am lucky to be married to an accountant, so I don't have to worry about that. All of the answers to my math problems are called Grant. Um, but it was an investment, and I finally realized that it's not a cost. If I invest this money now in myself, there is going to be payoff in the long run. And as someone who suffers from imposter syndrome, just being able to have somebody say, these are the steps that you need to take. These are the supporting steps that follow after those things, and being able to have a blueprint really, for what a sales process is like. Because like my degree is, I have a BFA in theater and education. Thinking of myself as a salesperson is still something that I honestly struggle with, but I am constantly learning every single day what it takes to not only feel fulfilled in my business, but also make sure that my clients know that I genuinely put more thought, effort, and energy into their vacations than I do my own. Um, since I purchased Propose to Close, I have seen a massive transformation, not only in the level of service that I'm able to provide to my clients, but in my own mindset. I have a more clear and outlined version of what my personal process is like so that I can serve my clients better, but also to keep my stress and that overwhelmed feeling to a bare minimum. Um, I also have ADHD. And so like Marcie's thought process just completely it honestly, I feel like Marcie's voice has taken over my inner monologue most of the time because whenever I get into that headspace of like, you're crap at this, you're doing this wrong, something, somebody else is out there doing it better, I can hear Marcie telling me to shut the fuck up.
Absolutely.
Like about it's not about serving everyone. It's about serving the people that are aligned with me and what I want for my business. And keeping that at the forefront has really been a massive game changer. Um, the investment was completely worth it for me. And I have recommended the course to several people because I, and I think most people here would agree with this. Like, I think it's very important to straighten other people's crowns instead of knocking them off. And there's business out there for all of us. How many doctors do we know? How many lawyers do we know? Nobody sits here and says like, well, I can't be a good doctor because there's already so many doctors. There's already so many lawyers. Okay, true, but like they're all good at something specific. And like you may absolutely love and adore your doctor, and your next door neighbor may have gone and seen them once and could not stand the way that their appointment went or the way that they worked or their bedside manner. It's the exact same for us. Like we are here to serve the people that we most align with, and those people are out there. It's applying our sales process and building those relationships with them that make us stand out. And I think Propose to Close has helped me with that quite a bit.
How does it work in terms of when you're actually on a consultation to getting hired? How are you feeling now? Because I think that you used to do an intake form.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
So I
Yes.
think this is a big one because a lot of people are, very attached or they only work via email. There's a question regarding via email versus going to consultation calls and being afraid of that. Was that something you experienced, Farron?
Massively so. I used to operate solely off of intake forms, and I think I mentioned it in the comments a little earlier. Like, I've developed some social anxieties over the last 7 or 8 years for some reason, and the thought of getting on a Zoom or a phone call with a complete stranger was very, very stressful. Um, but it has proven to be well worth the occasional Xanax,
Mhm.
because the relationship that I'm forming from the jump with these potential clients has been such a huge game changer for me.
Are you
Uh,
closing leads faster
oh,
after taking the
100%.
course?
Yeah, especially now that even in my Calendly link, it flat out says, you know, make sure you're pretty much ready to close within the next like 3 to 5 days. It out like outlining my process from the get-go.
Mhm.
I think since I've started implementing not only charging fees, but also like making sure that potential clients are aware of what my process is like
Mm,
before we get on that call, and honestly wasting each other's time
right.
has been a big game changer. And I would say that I've gone from honestly sending multiple versions of very similar proposals and calling them quotes to calling them proposals and sending them my first and best, and like you said, possibly one edit or something. um it used to take me months, or I would get completely
Wow.
ghosted and not being able to figure out what I did wrong.
Mhm.
To most of my leads are now closed within a week of consultation.
Congratulations. That's excellent. And there's some questions that maybe you can answer in the chat now, but I want to hear from Wendy. I am so excited to hear from you. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. A little bit really quickly. I have been in this business since 1998 and I opened my agency in 2004. I've booked thousands of trips. I've had years where I did multi-million dollars in sales and made six figures. And then I had 2020 where I lost money for the first time in my career and realized I really needed to figure some things out because, quite frankly, I was miserable doing this business. I almost retired in 2020. I did close my agency, actually, more put it on hiatus, and decided to kind of look around and see what was this rebranding going to look like, or was I getting out altogether? And in 2023, full disclosure, I spent over $10,000 in training and technology, trying to figure out what in the hell was I missing? Why did I hate the career that I'd chosen now? And then I found Marcie's Facebook group. And I was like, man, this chick kind of gets it. I mean, she's been doing it a long time. She speaks my language. She cusses a lot, and so do I. And the whole anxiety and ADHD, I have fought that for 20 years and built a successful business around it. So if she's got something to say, I'm willing to listen. But for the love of all that's holy, do I need another training class? Because y'all, I was over it. I had at that time Travefy, Travel Joy. I had $6,000 in subscriptions looking for the answer. All right, fine. What's one more course? I'm already going to lose money this year. I purchased it, I believe it was in November,
Yeah, it launched
anticipating.
11/11.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. I was going to go through it.
It's
I
a
had
baby course still.
December. It was so new. I remember it came out at midnight and I jumped on it right after that and went, oh crap, this is a lot more than I kind of thought it was. So let me
Yeah.
think about this. So I had December where I didn't have anybody traveling. It was some time for me to spend some time with the family. And I played around with it, but I really hit it in January and decided I was going to implement it. Y'all, it only took 2 days to implement it. Now, to be honest, I went through the course really quickly. I already had a lot of that foundation done. I kind of knew what some of the answers were for me. But what mattered the most to me, it was so fucking simple. It was based on text messages, email, and a calendar link. It's what we already do. It didn't have to be as complicated as I was making it. And what I realized I was also doing is if I was overwhelmed with the number of choices and the way to do this job, my clients were so overwhelmed with the number of choices I was giving them. They were clear is kind. And I started realizing that those crazy little messages that you get where they go, hey, what's the best cruise going to the Caribbean in July? They would annoy me. And I did not know how to answer them. I'd be like, well, that depends on what you want. You going to set up an appointment to talk to me, or you just here to pick my brain for free? Learned how to reframe that through the course into what they are asking is, how do I work with you? And there are templates and there is verbiage to tell people how they work with you. And what you need to know is how they need to work with you. And that's what the course did for me. It laid it out so clearly from step one all the way through. It was all things that I was kind of doing anyway, but it put it in a linear fashion and it showed me why I was doing each of those steps. Once I practiced it and got comfortable with it, I was able to tweak it a little bit for my own style because I book a very different type of travel. It may be geared to a type of process that is not something that you initially think that you sell. It does not matter. The process is the same. Sales are the same. Do this, lean into it. By the end of January, it had really changed. I canceled all my subscriptions. I had taken it back to just basics, trusting myself to use the systems that made sense to me, not what somebody else was telling me I needed to be using. This can make me cry. By the end of first quarter, I had met my sales goals and my commission on the books goals for the entire year. What that means, I still need backup sales. I still need to keep booking. But if something happened in my personal life right now where I could not do one more thing this year, I met my goals in the first 3 months and I only worked about 25 hours a week doing it. And I started laughing again and I started having fun with my people again. So that is why you need to just jump into this. It's worth every single penny. If you're starting out new, start it right. If you are exhausted and burned out and pissed off and annoyed every day that you get up, buy it, burn it down, and start it again. It's so worth it.
Thank you, Wendy. That's awesome. I really appreciate it. I changed it over to the propose to close questions because I think one of the big things that both new and veteran agents worry about is, will I lose clients if I change my process, if I go to appointment only, if I work full time? And, so can you address any of those concerns as a veteran agent?
I'm not going to say I lost clients. I will say that there were some that were used to getting the lowest price, the lowest deal. They were using me to push the buttons that they didn't want to push because they got so much more when I pushed them instead. Those people did not want to pay a fee because they didn't see the value in what I was providing. They're truly the bargain shoppers. They did not continue on with me. I would say that out of a book of business of 500 clients, 100 of which are very active with me, probably 3 did not come back after I sent them a calendar link that explained that I now charged a fee. Everybody else, now I've been charging fees, to be honest, for several years, but not to my repeat, consistent bread and butter clients. When I explained the new process to them and that we weren't going to be just taking random phone calls every day anymore, and that these were business hours and that weekends were only for if you were traveling, It took a couple of them, a couple of times of me just not answering on the weekend. They still send the message, but now they go, I know you're not going to answer until Monday. Yes, we have learned.
We
They
are
needed to be
training them.
told
We are
what the
teaching them
process.
how we
Yeah.
work.
And
Yes.
not a
Yes.
single one balked at paying a fee. Every one of them said it should be higher. And so guess what? The next time they booked, it was.
It was higher. I love that. And again, you don't have to charge fees for this to work. We really want to address that because I know a lot of you are not comfortable with fees yet, but I promise you'll get more comfortable if you take Propose to Close. I train both on it. I talk about both. I don't dive deep during Propose to Close on fees, but my templates do dive deep, and we dive deep every day into this realm in the Facebook private group. I really appreciate you sharing, Wendy. Your story is powerful because you have been a travel agent since travel agents have got commission on airfare.
I remember those
I think
days.
it's important to realize that she's been through a lot of ups and downs, and taking this course has given her her life back, you guys. Not just, she was a 24/7, burning it at both ends, not able to give attention to the things she wanted. And she came to me with her goals, and I was like, I want you to try this. If you try these processes, I think that you will feel better. And then if you don't feel better, maybe you can try something else. But what I have found for women, or mostly travel, I mostly serve women, is that women do carry the burden of everything. For the most part, I hate using everything, but we carry the burden of worry for our families. We're in charge of everybody else's calendar. We're doing all the things, and we're trying to run successful businesses without killing ourselves. And this course gives you your life back to do that. And in combination with the Facebook group, where you can stay in front of them for just a few minutes a day versus 24/7 or worrying about everything, the combination is really powerful as well. So thank you so much. And I have Natasha, who, oh my gosh, Natasha, you have just been singing all the praises. So I'm so happy you're here to share.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I am Natasha. I specialize in destination weddings, family travel in groups to Mexico, the all-inclusives and cruises. And so when I started with Marcie, saw her like the other ladies inside some random some random travel agent group. And I'm like, there's something different about Marcie. I've taken other coaches training that had commas behind it, and it got me nowhere. But there was something that stuck out with Marcie, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to take a chance, and I'm going to do a coaching. And inside of the coaching this past summer is where I was introduced. I got the sneak peek to Propose to Close, and nurse 16 years, still working in the field. I said, I have to do this. There has to be a different way of what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to accomplish. Because I was that agent that if someone came to me in a DM, I was quoting in the DM. I was burnt out. I would cry. I would have meltdowns. My husband, who is supportive, was ticked off. You're always on the phone. You always have your laptop in your hand. And it was affecting my family life and my mental status as well. And so again, I took the course. Marcie kind of walked me through it during our coaching. And when it went live, there was no question. I was going to get it. And I got it. I stayed up all night. I literally
kept that laptop open extra.
I have 3 kids, 23, 20, and a 3-year-old. And the 3-year-old was literally still attached to me. So when he went down to sleep at midnight, I was up and I went through the entire course. And for me, I use Trello. So I have the template saved in Trello so I can just grab it and pop it in, whether I'm on my Mac or have my phone in my hand. And to have those boundaries where clients are no longer, or if they still do send me a DM, I have my calendar link. I no longer use my form, and Marcie can tell you my form was lengthy.
I was so proud of you but you were attached to that form.
I was attached to the form. I don't know if Marcie saw it or heard it over our chat, but I was that little kid that I was having a tantrum. This was me on the inside, but I knew I had to let it go. And I'm so glad that I did, because I no longer ask those questions on the form. I do it in my consultations. I no longer ask them for a budget. And because I don't do that, I was able to close on a $13,000 trip and close that within 48 hours.
48
So,
hours. So proud of you.
so if you are on the fence to this, don't, like, you have to get it. Anything that Marcie puts out, just budget for it. I just absolutely love Propose to Close. The templates that she gives us for the consultations, I had one recent for Greece and Italy. I know nothing about Greece and Italy outside of, okay, I think there's Rome that's somewhere there. There's the Naples I've heard about. But going through those questions that she had, I was able to close. I think their trip was 14,000. So they're doing a Greek cruise. Yeah.
Congrats.
So
I love this.
yeah. So again, I started this right before talking to Marcie. I was going to close my business. I was in the red during COVID, and now I'm exceeding that. I was able to walk away from my nursing job. I lost my patient in January, and I haven't been stressed about, oh my God, I got to find a new client. Oh my God, how am I going to pay my bills? Because of Propose to Close, I'm now able to have this as my main source of income. So thank you, Marcie. Hold it back to tears.
I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm getting goosebumps, because just knowing you last summer, and that was the goal, was I got to get out of this. It's just, I don't want to work 2 jobs anymore. And, it is terrifying also helping people in this space, because I know the expectations are high, but I also believe in this process so much. And Natasha, Wendy, you guys are testaments, and there are so many people actually on this call who are testaments to this program. And a lot of people ask, which one should I do first? And I mean, it does depend, but honestly, if you are struggling with sales, if you are getting ghosted, if you are tired and there's too many leads coming in, this is the right course. It just is the right course. It really is. So I'm so happy for you. And I love how you share with us so openly. Keep sharing in our groups. And I'm so happy for you. I literally don't have words for how happy I am for you, because I've watched you go from almost closing to now being able to do this job full time and make an income that you want to make. And then just those excited, texts and stuff coming in from the trip, using Close to Home, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. I'm just so excited for you. Thank you for sharing. There's a lot of questions going on in the chat, and I want to address them. Farron will let me know if there's anything I haven't addressed, but I do want to just go over some of the FAQs. And the main thing is, how do I know this course is for me? Honestly, if you, from the last 5 minutes, 15, this is taking a lot longer than I expected, to now don't know if the course is for you, it's probably not for you yet. And I only say that because I want you to invest when you're ready. It's so important to be mentally ready to learn something intensely new that is so different from everything else you've been taught. And if you are in a place where you're like, I am ready to burn it down, and I got to close my doors if nothing else works, this is your last ditch effort, you might be ready. You might be ready if you're brand new, because you are not learning sales, you guys. I promise you, you're learning product, you're learning CRMs, you're learning all kinds of stuff that you're not going to get. You are not going to get the sales training that you actually need. Hosts and agencies don't mentor the way they used to. If you have a solid mentor, congrats, because I have talked to thousands of agents now who don't have that in their life. And this is a coaching course. I coach you, I mentor you through it. That it's truly like the longest course because of that. I also know that you're worried about going appointment only because you're afraid of losing clients. This is probably one of the biggest things with my big salespeople, because you're just shooting out those quotes and getting them, you can close quickly sometimes, but you're like, God, I don't want to lose this business. Y'all, I teach you how to not lose business, but also how to get rid of shitty business. Not every lead is a closed lead. The average travel advisor closes less than 20% of their leads. When you shift into a sales process like propose to close, you're only taking on what you want to take on based on what they are telling you in the consultation. And they're either on your train or off their train, and you're wasting far less time because you're quoting less, but those people weren't going to book anyways. That's what we're doing here. We're weeding out all of that shitty business to get to the gold. I always say you have to sift through the dirt to get to the gold. And I don't mean your clients are dirt. I mean, some of them might be, but I just mean that they're not always quality, right? We're looking for these aligned clients. And that's what I teach you how to do, is look for them, spot them, and get their ass into your business. Like, you're my perfect client, like, get over here type of thing, and work with them and work with their referrals. So no, you don't lose business. People might not make an appointment. That's not losing business. That's losing shitty business. And that's not a loss to our businesses. That was just a bad lead. That's all that was. It was a shitty lead, a shopper, a tire kicker, whatever you want to call them. And a big question I always get to, especially on Instagram, whenever I talk about texting, why do I have to text? I don't want them on my phone. Well, they're already on your phone, by the way. They're in your instant messages, they're on your email, they call you all out, whatever, even if you have a business line going to your phone. We close in the text, girls. Natasha, back me up. We close in the text. And then we take it back to email. Natasha, how much sales are you doing in your text now?
0. I send them my link to get on the calendar.
Mm-hmm. But when you are closing them?
Oh, when I close them, I text them an immediate response. A lot of people don't check their emails. And so we have our phones sitting next to us. We have our phones in our hands. We're sitting on the toilet with our phones in our hands, and we're going to respond to a text message versus responding to an email. So text, again, that was something that I kind of fought against too, a little bit, because I'm like, well, I text my family, I text my friends, but now you want me to text my clients? Like, how do I maintain that boundary? And this course tells you how to do that.
I love that. And yes, there are boundaries. We talk about boundaries a lot, you guys. This isn't meant to be texting at all hours of the day. We text when we want to text. We choose when we're texting. And it's a game changer if you go to text. I know a lot of you don't want to. Don't take the course until you're ready to text, because there's a lot of texting and all the things I do. Thank you guys so much. Farron, is there any questions I did not address? This is so much longer than I expected. I'm so sorry, you guys, but I'm so glad you're still here.
Just a couple. So
Okay.
Angie says, question about Calendly with P2C. How do you add your description before booking a consultation to be so long? Mine only allows 256 characters. I've tried all the things and can't figure it out.
There is a place where you can go to edit and lengthen the description. It's in a different section than the one you're in, and I don't know it off the top of my head. It's been a long time since I used it, but if you want to message me, I can walk you through. I know it's there where you can extend out the description to explain more about your process and tell them if you have a fee and things like that. So I'm sorry I can't remember it right now, but I know it's there.
And then Joy says, does this work for someone who is brand new, like 2 months new? I feel
Yes.
I'm still struggling to get leads, but I also, let's see, hold on. But also have a few that aren't really going anywhere.
Right. Yeah, it is. I at first was a little nervous about saying that, but honestly, I've already said it. You're not being trained. The reason you can't close because you don't know how. You've never been taught. And even if you had a mentor who was like, oh yeah, you just say this, this, and this, it's like, no, this walks you through the process. This tells you what to say to close. You're probably not following up fast enough. We follow up in under 15 minutes, you guys. And people are like, what? And it's like, no, I promise you it works. You send the proposal, you send the text, you send the email, you send the text, and you are in their business. And I know that makes you uncomfortable. I don't care. They've asked you for this information. They've asked you for this help. And we walk through each of that all the way through to build up your confidence through the entire course. And then we support you when you're trying it for the first time in the group. I do think this is right for new people. I think it's right for everybody.
Agreed. Okay, this one is going to be a little long, but I want to read out the whole thing because I think
Okay.
it is very important to get all the details. So Anna says, I loved the course, but I'm still having trouble with the first qualifying call. And I asked her for more specifics. And
Mhm.
she said, selling my worth, I guess. I deal with Hispanic and Latin American customers, and I worry some of the straightforward approach is not for them. They just want a quick quote, usually, or a number to rule out the vacation. Then they're too embarrassed to say that it's too high and make me do the quote anyway. I always give ballpark numbers, and they always say, oh, that's good. Send me the quote so I can review it. And it's a bunch of lies. The number is too high. And they don't care about wasting my time on the proposal, of course.
Okay. So I think already, it says she loved the course. So this really would go in, I would post all of this in our Facebook exclusive group. I'm going to address it here because I think it's important that you guys know I do coach in that group. I help with these types of specific questions. And Anna, I mean, to me, you have to get them on a consultation call. I can't tell if you're actually doing the call. It says you're having trouble with the first call. So I'm curious if you're actually getting on that call versus if you're just still giving them ranges in the DMs, first of all. Also, I am not a member of the Latin Hispanic community. However, I find them to be extremely direct, a little bit more procrastinating sometimes with my friends who are in this, you know, niche of people. But I don't feel like you treat them any differently. The more direct, clear we are, that is kind. Being direct and not dancing around the issue and literally saying this is going to cost you $8,000 on the consultation call based on what they have told you, and them saying, oh, that's too high, or send me the quote. It's like you have to be able to read them during that call. You have to really hone those intuitive skills, and being honest and direct is how we get to successful sales. I know it's hard. I know, because I'm very direct and people are like, oh, you just got this way naturally. No, I practiced. I build myself up. I practice in the mirror. How am I going to say this to this travel agent that keeps sending me DMs that I can't coach her in the DMs? Like, I have these same problems. Okay. We have to practice clear kindness. And also, they're not your aligned client if they're not willing to be honest with you. If you fill out the questionnaire about aligned clients and you are honest with yourself about who you're looking for, you will start to attract them because you're going to know exactly who that person is. And the person isn't a liar. The person will say, okay, that number is too high for me. Can we talk about something else? You know, you're going to be building relationships by being honest and authentic at what it is you do through the consultation call. And I highly recommend Zoom or Google Meet face-to-face, because I do feel being able to see somebody has a lot more impact, especially when you're learning how to sell, because you can see their face change. You can see their body language change on a call. You can see like a hesitation that you can't see on the phone. So I think it's important to bring confidence to the knowledge you have with your clientele and weed through the people who are not, and weed through them quickly, not by just quoting, but literally proposing, doing the follow-up email, going through that process step by step. And I can't tell from this if you've actually done all those things or where you're at in the process.
She says, I always have a call, never quote in the DMs. She uses
Okay.
WhatsApp for calls.
Okay, perfect. I would consider trying Zoom or FaceTime. I don't know if WhatsApp does that, but also they need to be hiring you. They need to be choosing option one, not just saying, oh, send me a quote. Like, we have to be going through the entire process where they know what they're getting. You remind them in the email how much it's going to cost. And then if they are not honest with you after the first quote, we don't send more quotes. We're trying to eliminate how much you're working and how to chase the unfindable find. And those are not your aligned clients, Anna, or Anna. I'm not sure how to pronounce it.
Okay, and then I have one more quickie.
Okay.
Jamie says, I work full time, so 90% of my communication is via email. Going to consultation calls and meetings scares me. Will this course change my mind?
Yes. And it doesn't matter how much you work a day job. Almost 80% of travel agents have a full-time job, you guys. We are a side gig business, and we can have a successful business doing 1 call a week. That builds to 2 calls a week. That builds to 3 calls. If your goal is to leave your business, you can create what you are creating in your calendar and doing live calls, Zoom consultations, changes because you start closing in days versus weeks versus months, working outside your regular, business hours, chasing down leads that contacted you in November and you don't know what the hell happened to them. I have a ghost email that we send. The ghost email is gold, y'all. It gets a response. We're not looking for a yes, we're looking for a response. And I think it's really important to change your mindset around the conversation, because when people can hear your voice and how much you care and your passion for your business, and that you know what you're doing because you're using the qualifying guide, they're going to feel excited, confident to book with you and book quickly. And when you're on the consultation call, you're going to ask them, are you ready to put down a deposit of around $200 in the next 3 to 5 days? When you start asking and being so much more specific, it is a game changer. And you waste so much less time than going back and forth in email or DMs or whatever the hell it is you're doing now.